Hi folks, today I have the LG G6 and OnePlus 5. In this video, let's go through both of these devices and see how well they compare with each other. There is no doubt LG has done a fabulous job with the LG G6 design. The G6 is backed with a glass back panel with metal along the sides. The front, however, is where the innovation kicks in. As you can see, you have a display with almost no bezels with a screen to body ratio of 78.6%. Now the only bezels you see here are at the top and the bottom and very minimal bezels along the sides. This gives you the opportunity to put a big screen, which G6 is 5.7-inch screen in a very small form factor. Now, if you look at the OnePlus 5 design, OnePlus 5 is a unibody metal design, so it's all metal along the sides and at the back. And the display on the front is nothing new and it just looks like a standard smartphone design that you might have seen all along, last year and the year before. But with G6, the trend is that now you have a screen and a display that has very small bezels, giving you a very big screen to body ratio. With respect to the specs, the G6 has a Snapdragon 821 processor with 4 gigs of RAM and 32 GB onboard storage with the ability to expand with a micro SD card slot. The battery capacity is 3300 milliamps and the screen display size comes with 5.7-inch Quad HD Plus display with Super LCD screen. On the other hand, the OnePlus 5 comes with Snapdragon 835 processor with an option of 6 gig or 8 gig RAM with 64 GB onboard storage or 128 GB onboard storage and a battery capacity of 3300 milliamps. And it comes with a 5.5-inch optic AMOLED display with Full HD 1080p resolution. Both of these devices are very similar when you compare it with their technical specs. However, when it comes to the form factor, the G6 wins hands down with a 5.7-inch screen packed with almost very small form factor on the front and an ergonomically designed phone that is easy to hold in your hand and not feeling that you're actually holding a gigantic 5.7-inch display phone. On the other hand, the OnePlus 5 is a standard form factor that you have been used to and tested and tried method that we all like in the smartphone design. Both OnePlus 5 and LG G6 have USB Type-C charging ports to charge your phone, and yes, both do have the headphone jack, except that it's on different places in the OnePlus 5 and the G6. Now the other key hardware difference between these two devices is that the OnePlus 5 comes with a dual SIM support while the LG G6 comes with a single SIM support. So if you rock dual SIMs, OnePlus 5 is going to be a good option for you. Another big difference between the G6 and the OnePlus 5 is that with the G6 you get water and dust resistant up to IP68, whereas you don't have any IP rating with the OnePlus 5. So if you're looking to use your phone during the rainy winter season and you get some water on and splashes, G6 is certainly tailored to help you there. However, with OnePlus 5 you have to be very careful because the water can damage the OnePlus 5 with no IP rating. With respect to the camera, G6 again excels with a dual camera setup, each 13 megapixel, the primary with an f1.4 aperture and the secondary with f2.4 aperture. With the help of the secondary lens, G6 is able to produce some wide-angle shots and not the usual portrait shots that you get in iPhone 7 Plus or the OnePlus 5 itself. The primary camera also comes with optical image stabilization support, but one thing to note is that if you do record 4K videos with your LG G6, you won't have optical image stabilization, rather get the electronic image stabilization option. On the other hand, OnePlus 5 also comes with a dual camera setup with the primary camera 16 megapixel and the secondary camera 20 megapixel. However, instead of using the secondary lens for wide angle shots as you get in your G6, the OnePlus 5 uses it to give you two different modes, the depth effect as you get in the iPhone 7 Plus and a lossless zoom of up to 2x in the OnePlus 5 secondary lens. Now the big difference between these two cameras is that while the LG G6 primary camera has optical image stabilization, the OnePlus 5 primary camera, not the secondary camera, have any sort of optical image stabilization. Instead, you only get the software aided electronic image stabilization. So depending on that factor, you might actually be better off choosing the LG G6 camera and not the OnePlus 5. Here is a 4K video taken in G6 and OnePlus 5. Both G6 and OnePlus 5 have support for electronic image stabilization when it comes to 4K video, even though the primary camera in the G6 supports hardware-based optical image stabilization for still photography. So how well do they compare? Well, as you can see, the OnePlus 5 video is smooth and non-shaky, and it almost looks like I have taken this video with the hardware-based optical image stabilization. But the video in G6, as you can see, is a little bit shaky and jittery as I am walking. So certainly OnePlus 5 has come a long way from its initial release and giving us software updates that improves the camera a lot. So kudos to OnePlus 5. However, when it comes to the camera output, I feel both have done a really good job in getting you the best shot possible, be it the wide angle lens or the depth effect or the lossless zoom. Now, of course, the only drawback is that, make sure your hands don't shake when you use the OnePlus 5 camera, because you don't get the optical image stabilization built in. The front camera, however, in the OnePlus 5 comes packed with a 16 megapixel with an aperture of f2.0, enabling you to take some awesome selfies with that powerful camera. But however, it does not come again with optical image stabilization, and you only get the electronic image stabilization. The G6, on the other hand, just comes with a 5 megapixel front camera with an aperture of f2.2. While the G6 5 megapixel camera will take some good selfies, but it's nothing compared to the OnePlus 5 16 megapixel camera that is much better than the G5 5 megapixel camera. When it comes to the software, OnePlus 5 comes with its OxygenOS with Android 7.1.1 and packs a ton of performance stabilizations and optimizations tailored just for the OnePlus 5 hardware. The OxygenOS itself is a treat to use, with so many options that you can choose to customize the status bar, to icon packs in your home screen, to having gestures in your lock screen to perform certain actions. So it's really a treat to use, and it's probably one of the best next to Pixel's default Android user experience. LG G6 comes with the Android 7.0 and its own LG UX Android skin. I'm really not a fan of the LG UX skin because it deviates a lot from the standard Android interface, and it sometimes really feels like it's a very old UX system that you are playing with. And the default black and white shade, I'm not a fan of that shade as well. Of course, you can get themes and apply those with the LG G6. However, the default theme you get is not as good and pleasant as you would get with your OxygenOS in OnePlus 5. It's not bad, but depending on your personal taste, you may like the LG UX default software experience versus, applying a theme and enjoying your LG G6 with that theme. With respect to the performance, you won't be disappointed with either of those for your day-to-day activities like checking your email or going through your social media accounts, or even doing some light photo editing options you get with your phone. However, when it comes to games, that extra 2 GB of RAM and the upgraded processor to Snapdragon 835 in the OnePlus 5 really excels and gives you a great performer for playing high-end games. But that is something where you will see a big difference. But other than that, both your OnePlus 5 and G6 perform really well with your day-to-day activities. In the description below, you'll also find the tips and tricks that you can do with your LG G6 and OnePlus 5 if you want to get to know more about the software experience you get with these both. When it comes to the battery, both have 3300 mAh battery and do a good job in giving you a day's worth of battery life. So usually with both of these devices, I charge my phone in the morning, go to work, get heaps of emails and whatnot, and get into Slack and other social media activities. And I come back home at around 4 or 5, I still have a lot of juice left on my phone. And by the time I go to bed, and that's when I see my phone down to 30% or 20%, and I put the phone back to charge. So both have a really good battery life that you should expect to get good results. So overall, both of these devices perform really well. However, depending on few factors, you may choose the G6 over OnePlus 5. When it comes to the price, you can get the G6 unlocked for $699, or you can just go to T-Mobile and grab this for $500 when you pay in full. However, with the OnePlus 5, the price just starts at $479 for the 6GB and 64GB storage, and $539 for the 8GB and 128GB storage. So, price-wise, certainly OnePlus 5 excels with its cheaper option, whereas G6, if you are in T-Mobile, yes, $500 is is a really good option. But if not, you're going to be paying $699 out of your pocket. Overall, both of these devices perform really well. However, if you want to stay with the current trend of getting an innovative design in your smartphone, then the G6 with its awesome 5.7-inch display, which is almost bezel-less, and a glass back panel with aluminum edges that is really easy to hold, is a great choice for you. Or if you're the one that hates glass back panels and like a unibody metal design, then OnePlus 5 is a great choice as well. So with respect to the price, the G6 is, you can get it for $699 unlocked, or you can just go to a T-Mobile store and get it for $500. The OnePlus 5, however, starts with $479 for the 6GB and 64GB storage, and it goes up to $539 for the 8GB and 128GB storage. So price-wise, certainly OnePlus 5 is a much cheaper option than the G6, unless you are with T-Mobile, where you can get almost the similar price, where it's $500. The only thing I dislike in LG G6 is its LG UX software. Other than that, the display or the camera or the design, I love it. So if you don't like the LG UX like me, you can always install a different launcher or a different G6 theme that can give you a very good experience. Like here I have the Google Pixel theme installed, where it changes all of its interfaces to match the default Android experience. However, one thing that keeps me coming back to OnePlus 5 is the OxygenOS and how fast this device is. With the 6GB or even the 8GB RAM combined with the Snapdragon 835, this thing flies. Whether be it playing games or be it switching between apps, OnePlus 5 clearly gives you that processing power you need to be very fast. Now that could be something that you end up deciding to go with OnePlus 5. So if you already have a G6 or a OnePlus 5, let me know in the comments how well you like it, how are you enjoying it, or if you're on the fence choosing between the G6 and the OnePlus 5, let me know which one you like and which one do you want to choose or buy. So if you like my video, to see more like this, subscribe to my channel, and until next time, bye.